All right, so we're talking about triangle congruence. And we really need to start talking about what the symbol for congruence is. Okay, so we're going to see this about 1,000 times, and the symbol for congruence is an equal sign with a squiggly line over the top of it. Okay, maybe you remember that from the PL, parallel lines cut by a transversal stuff, but congruence. Okay, when things are congruent, like angles, when angles are congruent, that means that they have the exact same measure. Okay, so although we won't know what the measures of the angles are, if those angles are congruent, then they're going to be equal in measure, right? Their degrees are going to be the same. Okay, so what you need to do is really use your eyeballs to see what kind of markings we have been given on this triangle. Okay, so on this first one, what kind of markings do you see? Just say it. Hopefully. No, 10 minutes has not gone by yet. Now you're on the video. Thank you very much for not answering the question. Seriously, I'm recording. Okay, so what kind of markings are these? Congruence for what? For sides, right? This means that this side is congruent to this side. It has a single tick mark. Okay, double tick marks go with double tick marks, and triple tick marks go with triple tick marks. Okay? Because one of the things that we're going to have to do is write a congruence statement. A congruence statement says that this triangle, right, and you get to pick whatever letters you want, whatever order you want to put these three letters in, you can do it. ABC, BCA, CAB, CBA. The first triangle doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put it in alphabetical order, just ABC. Okay, when you do it, you can put it in whatever order you want to. But most often what you're going to see is this part is going to be given first. Okay, they're going to tell you the three letters of your triangle, and you need to match them up with the same letters from your second triangle. Okay, so we have to write down the angles as they correspond. As they correspond. So what angle does A correspond with in our other triangle? M. Okay, so A goes with M, so then triangle M. And then what angle goes with B? B goes with P, and C goes with N. So you have to write down your triangle congruence letters, right, these three letters, in the way that they correspond to your first three letters. Okay, so A goes with M, B goes with P, and C goes with N. Okay, you have to write them as they correspond. And then we're going to use an abbreviation called the SSS, or the side-side-side postulate. Okay, which says that if three sides of one triangle are congruent to three sides of another triangle, then those triangles are congruent to each other. Okay, so we're going to be asked the question, are these triangles congruent? Is this triangle congruent to that triangle? So you're going to be looking for markings. How is it marked? Right, and are you given enough information? You always need to have three pieces of information. Okay, and then if yes, they are congruent, you can write a statement, and then we'll write down the reason based upon their sides or their angles. Okay, so we have three sides. We have another situation where there's two sides and the middle angle, right? So notice where the angle is in relation to your sides. It's in the middle, right? Here we have a side, and then we have an angle, and then we have another side, right? Side, angle, side. Two sides and the middle angle. So let's see if we can write a triangle congruence statement. I'm going to start this one with KHJ. Okay, so remember the first one doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to write KHJ for fun. Right, wasn't that a lot of fun? Is congruent to, now we have to go back and look at the correspondence. Okay, so angle K goes with which angle of R, T, or S? It goes with angle S. Okay, so K goes with angle S. Hopefully that's clear. I don't know if it is or not, but it goes with angle S. H comes next. What angle does angle H correspond with? angle T, so H goes with T, and then finally J goes with R. Okay, so that's the triangle congruence statement. It says that this triangle with these three letters is congruent to another triangle with corresponding letters, right? Every angle has a corresponding congruent angle, okay, that you write it down with. And then this would be the side angle side postulate. That's why these two triangles are congruent, side angle side. Okay, so we have two things. We have a congruence statement, and we have the reason why they are congruent. Okay, so there are 5 different ways, and we can continue doing this. So I'm going to pause for a second, and you should pause this also on the video, and then see if you can do the rest of them by writing down your triangle. So let me give you the triangle congruence. The first part, we'll go with triangle CBD for the 2 angles and the middle side, and then we'll do triangle ADM. And then the last one, we'll make a TAR, triangle TAR. So those are the 3 that you're going to be given. So I want you to write the congruence statement. All right, so this is congruent to what other triangle? So you want to finish the thing with 3 letters, right? And those 3 letters need to correspond with the 3 angles that I have given to you. Okay? So pause the video, and then do that, and then come back and see if you got it right. So those are the other 3 congruence triangles. So check and make sure that you got those letters and the angles, how they correspond, right? Because your angles are going to be congruent. Now the reasons. Okay, if you notice, we have once again, the side is between your 2 angles. So if your side is between your 2 angles, then your reason is the angle side angle. Okay, so if in the picture your side is between your 2 angles, then in your letters, your S stands for side is between your 2 A's, which stands for angles. Angle side angle. Okay, and then look at this picture, right? What do we notice about these pictures that's different from the one above it? Up above, your side was here, right? The side was here in between your 2 angles. But where is the side in this case? It's not between, okay? Your side is not between your 2 congruent angles. So when we write this reason, when we write the reason for it, side angle, nope, that's not right. Angle side, the S letter does not come between your A angles, right? So you need to be sure that you're looking at the picture. Where on the picture is your side? Is it between your congruent angles, or is it not between your congruent angles? Because it matters for your placement of your letters. And then the last one, a hypotenuse leg. So notice this is the hypotenuse. For both of your triangles, we have a congruent hypotenuse, and we have a congruent leg. Okay, so your 3 things are the 90-degree angle, your hypotenuse, and your leg, and we write HL, which stands for hypotenuse leg. So these are your 5 triangle congruence postulates. Well, I guess 4 of them are postulates, and hypotenuse leg is a theorem, but we'll just call them all for that. Okay, so those are the letters. We're going to identify the picture, right? And based upon the picture, we're going to use one of those 5 letter combinations. So let's practice some of this on the back with the things that we're able to mark. So the key is to look at the markings. Some things I need you to remember when you're looking at pictures. Number 1, you need to take the picture at face value. Okay, the things that are marked on the picture are marked on the picture. You don't get to add a whole lot by yourself. Okay, one thing that you do get to add is the reflexive side. Okay, it's called the reflexive postulate. So you get to mark the reflexive. The reflexive side is one that is shared by both triangles. Okay, you can mark that side as being congruent. Okay, so that one won't be marked for you. You are allowed to put a tick mark on a reflexive side or a side that is shared by both triangles. Okay, you are also allowed to mark vertical angles. Remember, vertical angles are the ones that are across from each other, right? They form an X, so you can put the congruent markings for vertical angles. Okay, and then the other thing you can mark is parallel line angles. P-A-R-A-L-L-E-L, line angles. Like alternate interior angles or alternate exterior angles or corresponding angles. Okay, you are allowed to mark those as being congruent if your lines are parallel. Okay, so those are the only things that you are allowed to add to your picture. Everything else needs to be exactly how it looks in the diagram that is on your paper. Okay, you don't get to add anything else except for those three things. So let's see how that is going to work out with number one. So number one, what two things are being marked as congruent in number one? Right, so we have a side here, right? These two sides match up. And what else is marked as being congruent? An angle, right? They were bringing an angle as marked as being congruent. So at the moment, is two things enough to have triangle congruence? No, two things is not enough. You need to have three things. So can we add a third thing? And the answer is yes. Notice that this side, AC, is shared by both of these triangles. Okay, it has to be the same length as itself. That's why it's called the reflexive property. When you look in the mirror, you see your reflection. And your reflection is the exact same as yourself. Okay, that's why it's called the reflexive property. So we put a little tick mark. You can put a tick mark on that side saying that it is congruent to itself. So now do we have enough information to say they are congruent? Yes, we do. So we circle yes. Okay, and now you get to pick whatever three letters you want to from whatever triangle you want to pick. So I'm going to go with the top triangle first, and I'm going to call this ADC. Okay, you can call it CAD or DAC or whatever you want to, but just for fun, since I'm the one that has the board, I'm going to call it ADC. So if that's triangle ADC, what are the letters of my corresponding angles down here on the bottom triangle? A and then B and then C. Okay, so if your triangle shares some points, then your congruent statement will also share some letters. Okay, and then looking at our picture, what things are marked and in what order? We have two sides and one angle. And where is the angle in relation to your two sides? It's in between. Do you notice the angle is in between your two sides? So we're going to write side, angle, side as the reason why these two triangles are congruent. Side, angle, side. The angle that's marked is between your two sides that are marked. Okay, number two. Can we add anything to this picture? Actually, let's start with what are we given? This side and that side, right? We're given two sides. Is two sides enough for congruence? No, but what can we add to this picture? The reflexive side WY, right? This side is shared by both of these triangles, so it is congruent to itself. So, do we have enough information to say that they are congruent? Yes, we do. Okay, so once again, let's pick some letters. How about ZWY? Let's go with ZWY this time for fun. ZWY. Okay, so ZWY is congruent to what other letters down here? Z goes with what angle? X. W goes with what angle? W, and Y goes with Y. So this is XWY. Okay, by which three-letter combination? SSS, because we have three sides that are being marked as congruent. Okay, so I know this is the first day, but hopefully you're kind of getting an idea of how we do these triangle congruences, how we show that the triangles are the exact same. Okay, this one. What information are we marked to begin with? One side and one angle. Okay, so once again, two things is not enough, but what can we add ourselves? We can add this reflexive side that is shared by both of these triangles. So let's see, yes or no? Yes. Okay, let's start with the top triangle. Let's go with KLN. KLN. KLN is how we're going to write our first triangle statement. Remember, this is called a congruence statement, that these triangles are congruent. So angle K goes with what angle? Angle M. Okay, so we have M. And then if I went from K to L, what is my next letter from M? I have to go this way. I go down my double markings, because that's what I did to begin with. I started at K and I went in the direction of L, so I have to go from M down here to N. Okay, because it has to correspond. And then I come back over to L. So KLN is congruent to MNL. By what three-letter combination? Side, angle, side. Okay, so hopefully it's not looking too difficult, and no, they're not all side angle sides or side sides. Okay, so let's see. This one, what information are we given to begin with about our triangles? Side. What can we add ourselves? The reflexive side, MK. Okay, is there anything else that we can add? And that answer is no, right? There's not any vertical angles. These aren't parallel lines, so we have no parallel line angles. So are these triangles congruent? No. I mean, they might be, but we are not given enough information to say with confidence that, yes, in fact, they are congruent. Okay, so even though they might look like it, if the markings aren't there, we can't definitively say yes. So this one is a no. And we don't have to do anything else. We just move on. Okay, number 5, hopefully you know that one's a yes by side, side, side. So we'll just run through some of these pretty quick. Side, side, side. Number 6, what can we mark? The reflexive side, KM. So a yes or no? Yes by what 3 letters? Side, angle, side. Now notice they're saying, but wait, there's a 90-degree angle, and I thought if there was a 90-degree angle, it was going to be a hypotenuse leg. Well, that's true if we know the hypotenuse, right? But we aren't marked that we have a hypotenuse, so this is not hypotenuse leg. Okay? If you don't have a hypotenuse marked, you can't use HL. Okay? All right, let's see. What else we have? Number 7. This is a hypotenuse, and we do have a 90-degree angle, but do we have anything else? No. So this one is a no. It might look like it, but there's not enough information to say it is. Whoops. Okay, number 8. What can we add to this picture? We can add these vertical angles, right? These are the ones that are across from each other. And this is how we're going to see the vertical angles. We're going to have 2 triangles that come together at a single point. Okay, I sometimes call these kissing angles because they just touch each other right there. So we have congruent vertical angles like that. So is this enough information? No, it's not. So we'll come and just circle no. These ones do not have enough information to say they are congruent. Okay, number 9. What can we add to number 9? Once again, vertical angles. Okay, so is this enough information? We have a side here, and we have a side here, and we have an angle. Okay, so if you flip back over to your notes page, is there such a thing as side-side angle? Or if you want to be profanity, angle side-side, which that's why we don't have an angle side-side, because we don't use profanity in geometry. Spells butt. So is this a yes or is it a no? It's actually a no. Because angle side-side is not one of our 5. We can only use those 5, and angle side-side is not one of them. So even though we have the 3 things that are marked, because it's not in the right order that we have it marked, it's a no. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Right, so 11 would be the same kind of picture, right? We have a side and then an angle. So this 11 is a no by that same reason. There's no such thing as side-side angle. Number 12. Ooh, look at number 12. What do we notice about number 12? Parallel lines. Which means I have alternate interior angles, right? These ones are alternate interiors, so they have to be congruent. As well as these ones, right? These are also alternate interior angles, because here are your parallel lines. Notice that we have the arrows, right? The arrows are what tells us our lines are parallel. It's important to have those arrows, because without them, we don't know. Okay, so right now we have an angle and an angle that we've marked. And what else can we add to our picture? The reflexive side that goes down the middle. And this one doesn't have any letters, so we're not going to write a triangle congruent statement, apparently. But this is by angle, side, angle. Okay, because the side that is congruent is between your 2 angles that are congruent. Okay, so we're looking at the picture. We are deciding if there's enough information and where that information is presented to us. Okay, so why don't you take a minute and do these last 6. Decide if there's enough information and write down the congruence letters if it's a yes. So here are the answers to the last 6. The first one is a no, because your sides don't correspond that are congruent. The 14 is a no, because we don't have an angle, angle, angle postulate. 15 is side, angle, side. That's a yes. 16 is angle, angle, side, right? Not hypotenuse, leg, because you don't have the hypotenuse or, yep. So it's angle, angle, side. Same with 17, angle, angle, vertical angle, and then a side. And 18 is angle, side, angle, ASA. Okay, so that's how we're going to put together these triangle congruence statements, right? We're looking at how is your triangle marked, and are those markings in the right place and enough to have congruence? Okay, so you are allowed to add parallel line angles, reflexive sides, and vertical angles. That's all you are allowed to add to your picture. Everything else must be marked and given to you. Okay, so first day of triangle congruence. It doesn't really get any harder than this.